What's up? It's the We're Fat and Sober podcast. That was a little sneak preview for a track I worked on this past weekend. Today is November 10th, 2020. 2020, dog. We're almost out this motherfucker, y'all. Man, it's been a rough one. Damn, I was just hitting my stride too, and my roommate called me and interrupted my shit. So where was I? It's November 10th, 2020. We're almost out of this year. It's been a fucking doozy, hasn't it? Last episode we had Tanner on. Talked about some politics. Talked about some conspiracy shit. Talked about God a little bit. Weird when a agnostic and an atheist talk about God. I don't know what the fuck I am. I guess I'm agnostic. I still pray. I pray to God like I'm a Christian. And I cuss like I'm an atheist. And I believe science like I'm an atheist. I don't know. Man, I'm having a weird day, y'all. You know, sometimes I struggle with, like, feeling like if I should keep doing this. And then as soon as I feel like maybe I should, you know, hand in the towel, somebody tells me, man, I love your podcast. I'm like, really? You're like one of 30 people that listen? But it ain't zero, so... you know, I'm going to keep doing it. As long as the numbers keep going, I'm going to keep doing it. And I enjoy doing it. It's kind of like, especially these solo episodes, it's kind of like my own personal journal. I mean, I just try to not think of it as some fucking weirdo screaming into the void of the internet, but that's basically what it is. I'm having a weird day today. Not necessarily bad, but, well, just kind of rough. I feel the pain of people around me, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm hurting too. Got into a fight with my significant other earlier because I acted like an asshole, which I am good at doing. But I'll start off with this. Somebody I'm semi-close to that I know just went through a relapse. And I'm semi-close, I should say. I care about this person. I wouldn't call us like great friends. But seeing them around the community, knowing the person that they've been in the community, I respect them. And to watch them relapse, and I mean, it was a quick one. It was a few days, and he picked himself back up, and he's doing okay. And I'm really proud of him, man. That's kind of uncommon to see somebody relapse and come right back. You know, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could have gotten sober at 17 or 18 or however young he was when he got sober. And, it's one of those things. This is part of this journey is relapse. And, when COVID first started, I thought to myself, and I think I said it on here too, is I'm worried that we're going to see a lot of relapses and we're going to see a lot of people newly in recovery, which can be a really good thing, you know what I mean? But it's still I catch people's vibe. I guess that's being an empath. I don't know if I'm really that. I don't know if I even really believe in some of the new age woo-woo shit that some people say about that. But when my friends are hurting and when people around me are hurting, and when I'm doing, you know, being an asshole like I was tonight, it affects me, you know. I carry that shit with me. I was already feeling really weird today. One of my fucking best friends said in a little meeting earlier that he was really struggling with some stuff right now. And this is a man that I look up to. Has his shit together more than anybody I know. Owns his own business while he's in college. And, hearing him say that, I was like, damn, you know, if this dude's struggling... And we're all capable of it. We're not all perfect, but, you know, I think it's a really rough time right now. And we got to cling on to the things that keep us going, you know. We got to stay connected to whatever it is. If it's God, if it's Jesus, if it's Muhammad, if it's Buddha, if it's the universe and infinite energy or love, whatever that looks like to you, we got to stay connected. You know, I went through a really gnarly dry spell. And it ended probably 4 or 5 months ago. It was rough, man. I could feel myself stuck inside this shell, inside this, I don't want to use the box, but I was just stuck in my perspective, stuck in self. And I still get that way. Like feelings of inadequacy come in, and all I can think about is me, 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 me. And it's really difficult for me to think of other people. And when I'm in that headspace, I struggle with thinking before I speak. That's a big character defect of mine that I've come to realize over the last year and a half or so. And I don't know if anyone can relate. When somebody, I know people who are very thoughtful and very calculated with what they say. I'm kind of flagrant, I guess. I don't know if it's like my innate desire to be seen, and like my attention seeking persona, but it's really, I just say shit sometimes, and sometimes I'm trying to be funny, and sometimes I'm like not even really thinking, and I just blurt some shit out, and I don't even realize what I said until afterwards, and I've hurt somebody's feelings or I've offended somebody, and that's never my intention. If you know me and you know my heart, I love everybody. I will sit down with a Trump supporter. I will sit down with a uber liberal woke person. I'll sit down with a trans person, a gay person. I love everyone. I genuinely try to walk in love and empathy for everyone, because I know what it feels like to not belong and to be an outcast. I think most of us in recovery know what that feels like. I feel like mostly everyone I know felt that feeling growing up in some way. And it's weird too, because it's not just like, like me, who was like one of the nerdy fat kids. It's like there's people that were athletes, that were jocks, but still felt like they didn't fit in with those people, and they didn't fit in with these people. And I think it's kind of a thing that we experience, and maybe it's internal, maybe it's not really real. I mean, I feel like a lot of that is probably internal. I always had friends, and I always had people who cared about me, but I think I was always trapped in self, and I always was under the illusion that I was alone in the universe. Even as like a Christian, like all of my Christianity was based on like this desperation to cry out to God for him to like fix all my problems. And, that can lead to a lot of deep spiritual experiences, especially like in a worship setting, that desperation. Don't know if it's a part emotion or if it's truly a spiritual experience, maybe both. But I've experienced that, I know what that feels like, that desperation and being trapped in ourself. I think the biggest thing that I try to remember when it comes to this stuff is that there is no such thing as separation for me and the universe. And whatever ears hear this, you and I, we are one. We are a part of the universe. We are part of God. That's what I believe. I mean, maybe someday science can prove that, like we said last time, me and Tanner. I don't know. But I know that there are times in my life where I've connected with people on a deeper level than just our physical bodies. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, but I can think of the very first time this happened to me. I was a young child. I must have been 7 or 8, and it was a very weird experience that happened to me that I'll never forget. I remember my friend Brandon came home with me after school on a Friday to stay the weekend, and my mom had some drinking buddies. We'd go over there on the weekend, on Friday and Saturday night, and they had a trampoline, and the adults would be drinking in there, and we'd be jumping on the trampoline. Somebody broke their arm one time, just all kinds of rowdiness that was totally unsupervised. And I remember after playing and being all rowdy, me and Brandon, I think we were going inside to get a snack or something, both little chubbies. And I remember looking him in the eyes, and this is, it's a weird memory that I have, but I remember looking at him and saying, "Do you ever just wonder what we are?" And I remember the look he gave me, and he's like, "Yeah." And it was this weird spiritual connection where for a brief moment we were bigger than just these little kids. We were bigger than just these bodies running around eating Cheetos and getting Cheeto dust on the sofa. We were two spiritual, two souls, two spiritual beings having this connection for a brief moment that, like, it's weird. I've had that in a lot of different contexts. And, that's part of why sponsorship is so important, because, and why spiritual experiences in general are so important. Whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to be, I mean, it needs to be in helping someone and connecting to someone. It doesn't have to be the Christian God. It doesn't have to be whatever. As long as you are connecting to something positive, whole, and good that takes you outside of yourself, I personally think that's God. That's really what we are. Everything else is a magic trick, smoke and mirrors. Life is a simulation, possibly. But I remember having this moment, and I was a little kid. It was very strange, and I can remember it very vividly in my mind. And where I was going with that is, that's why sponsorship is important too. Not only do you guide this person through the steps, but when you have those moments, that spiritual experience where you connect with that other person, you have that, see into the mirror of their soul, and the window of their soul through their eyes, and you connect on a deeper level, and you feel this love and pure consciousness feeling, and it takes you out of yourself. That's why it's important to sponsor, and that's why it's important to have a sponsor. Is, not only do we get to guide somebody through the process of cleaning up the wreckage of their past and making amends, but having that spiritual experience where we get to be outside of ourselves for even just a brief moment. It's really important. And if you're listening to this and you haven't had that moment, or you don't know what that feels like or looks like, I would encourage you to pursue it, whatever it looks like. And I don't really believe that nobody's ever felt that. Maybe not in the same way I'm explaining it or the same context, but I think we've all experienced that. As a kid, I experienced it in a lot of ways, and the main way was in worship and lifting up my hands. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great, And man, I remember I used to I would bawl and I would shake, and the church I grew up in, we were all about that. We we were called the Word is Life Deliverance Church, the Wild Church. And it was a really diverse congregation of black folks, white folks, Hispanic folks. And we were all there to have the spiritual experience, They were the kind of church where tongues and healing and those sorts of things they believed in that. And, whether that is real and true, or a little bit of woo-woo and a little bit of emotion, I don't really think it matters. I think it's what they call chaos magic. It's our belief in some of those things possibly makes it real. Placebo effect, the universe is like the Matrix, man. I mean, to an extent, I don't know if I believe in all of the, like, manifesting it, man. Like, I don't know if it's that simple. Like, I'm going to manifest $1 million and then an axe to murder my wife. Like, I think we do exist on more than this plane, and we have great potential to be and experience more than just this shell, this body. And maybe we reincarnate, maybe we come back as Jude Law riding a dragon, or somebody's anal bead, depending on the kind of life you lived. I'm not real sure. But I just, I started this off by saying I went through a really gnarly dry period. And I could have been like my friend. I could have relapsed. But I didn't, I like to think that the people I had around me, the goals that I was pursuing, kept me on the track, And it's funny too, because my support system isn't just people in recovery. My bandmates are a huge support system, like, and we're not all like lovey-dovey. We don't, I'll tell them dudes I love them every time, but we don't sit around talking about our feelings like I do with some of my other friends in recovery and stuff. But like, I know that those dudes are there for me more than a lot of people I know. I'll give you a perfect. Oh, by the way, that sneak peek of that song. My drummer, good buddy, one of my best friends, Harvey Garza, mixed and mastered it for me just on a whim. I just sent it to him, asking him, "Hey, what do you think this needs?" And he just mixed and mastered it for me. It sounds great. It's called Desert Song. I hope you dug it, liked it. But there was a moment when I really realized the kind of person he was, and I don't know if I've ever really talked to him about this, and I don't know if he knows this, and maybe he listens to this and hears it. I don't know if he listens to my podcast. I don't care if he does or doesn't. But when I got home from treatment, I had been living with my ex-girlfriend in this rental house, and over the course of a year, I mean, that was the bottom of my addiction. I would steal from her. I would just rip other people off to get drugs. I was shooting up every day as much as I could. I had needles stashed all around the house, and we were cleaning out this house that we were moving out of. We weren't going to break up, but we were moving up. We were going to live apart. I was going to go to sober living. She had got an apartment. We didn't break up right then. We did eventually, but there was a day, I think I'd been home like 3 days. My dad had given me a little cash just to get me through so I could eat and stuff. So I had some money, and I found a syringe in there, and I was that fucking close to relapsing. I mean, I was sitting there with that syringe, like searching for a dealer's number in my phone because I deleted everything, but I think I had something on Snapchat or something. And he texted me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to jam?" And I was like, "Yeah, you want to go get me?" And he came and got me. I've been sober ever since. I've been sober, through that. And I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he felt. I don't know what happened, but I know that God put him there in that moment. God, the universe, manifest destiny. Just kidding, not manifest destiny. Destiny. Whatever. Put him in there in that moment to reach out to me, to come get me, for us to spend some time together doing what we love. And I don't know what other parallel realities are out there where that didn't happen. That could have been another node in a long network and a long journey of relapses and overdoses and eventually death. And I don't know if I've ever said this on this podcast, but I never overdosed. I've seen people who had way worse addictions than me. I got out with not very much physical damage, a little bit of circulation problems from abusing my veins. My hands go numb pretty quick, which probably would get better if I'd work out for more than 2 days a week and stick to it. But I did last night, so what's up? Getting better. But I don't know. I don't know where I would have ended up if he hadn't have done that. And I don't even know, he at the time, and even still now, the dude is a very spiritual person. Not super religious, not, doesn't really subscribe to any ideology, but, when you know him as a person, you know that he's a good person and his heart's in the right place and he lives in God's will on his own accord. He doesn't, in my opinion, I think that we all have potential to live in God's will regardless of our flaws or defects or whatever. Being sober, or being religious or anything, we all have potential to live in God's will. And even if you look at it in a Christian perspective, like all sin is the same. We're all sinners by nature. There is no cure for that. And so I think we all have the potential to live in God's will in and out of it at all times. But for whatever reason that happened. And I think about that sometimes. Like, what if I had relapsed? Where would I be right now? Would I be dead? Who knows? I could be in Las Vegas sucking cock for heroin and cocaine. I don't know. But I don't remember where I was going with that. I'm just kind of ranting. But I went through a dry spell recently and I got out of it and I'm feeling pretty good. But it doesn't mean I don't have bad days. Today was a rough fucking day, man. I realized I had a fucking 4-page paper due tonight. I just turned it in, so I said I'm going to come back here and record. But I forgot about it. It was one thing that I just didn't put in my calendar and plan for to work on before now. I put it in today, the day it was due. And so I stayed up late working on it last night. I worked last night at the inpatient facility I work at. And Tuesdays I have to get the guys up early. So I slept like 4 hours. I came home, at 8:30 this morning, showered, went to campus, was there all day. Was in class on Zoom worked on that paper in between classes and after and before class. And I left campus and I was feeling weird. I haven't really eaten much today at all, hardly. And I'm tired and I'm like, I haven't slept much. And it's not good. Don't judge me. It's not forever. I'm not happy about it either. It sucks, but got to do what I got to do. Sometimes I don't get much sleep, I remember a long time ago I saw a meme that was like 3 circle charts, and it was 3 circle charts, and it was like, this is college, and it was like sleep, social life, good grades. You can only pick 2. It's like, that's literally how it is, especially, as much shit as I have put on my own plate. I shouldn't say I have on my own plate, because a lot of it I choose to have, like doing podcasts and, but it's all shit that makes me happy. But yeah, I had a little bit of a weird day today, and was feeling fucking really weird, and then went to see my girl for a little bit, acted like an asshole, hurt her feelings, turned into a little bit of a tiff. I wouldn't say a fight, because we don't really fight. I usually am an asshole. I say something I don't mean. I hurt her feelings. And then I'm like, what happened? And I'm getting better, and when I'm feeling normal and I'm spiritually fit and I'm living in God's will, that kind of stuff happens less and less. But I'm a human. I fuck up, right? We all are. And it's a rough fucking time right now for a lot of people, financially, politically, spiritually. Yeah, man. I mean, me and another buddy that, works on campus were talking yesterday, and another person in the recovery community here, and we were talking about, there's probably a lot of people who have relapsed that we don't know about yet. They're in the midst of a bender right now. We're going to find out about it soon. I just found out this morning a client that left, I think 6 days ago, is coming back. Will be his 3rd treatment in a row over the last, 6 or 7 months. Literally got out and immediately started drinking after doing, like, I think he did 3 months at one place, a month here, and then he's coming back for another month. And it's rough, man. It's rough. This shit is not for the faint of heart. This world is a rough fucking place. And, I look at other countries and I think I don't want to say fetishize, but that's because that's kind of, I glorify them, I guess you should say. I was going to say fetishize, but like some of the other countries, Norway, Sweden, where they have, nationalized healthcare. They've decriminalized and legalized a lot of drugs, or if not all of them. They've put that money towards treatment. And the recidivism rate is a lot lower than it is here. And I look to those countries and I'm like, I don't know if it's perfect. They still have some forms of capitalism, but it seems to be working a little bit better than here. But I was talking about this with a friend the other day. He said those countries are also very homogenized. They're mostly white people, we don't know how that would work here. We don't know if it would work. Not saying that race plays into it that much. Race isn't, a precursor to a lifestyle or anything, but it's just a very different, diverse population here. And I look at some of those places and I think that I hope for a utopia here in America, and I've never even left the country, so I really don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is all shit I've seen and read on the internet. So the world could be flat and there could be a dome outside of Texas. Well, I've been outside of Texas, outside of the U.S., because I wouldn't know. But I guess I just really wanted to take the time to get my thoughts out, a little bit of self-care here, because this is good for me too. I think one of the best things one of my best coping skills that I've learned since getting sober was like getting my emotions out. The hard part of this was another thing I want to talk about. The hard part of recovery and just being a human in general is learning to sit with our emotions. we can get sober, we can go to the meetings, we can work the program and do all that, but there is a point in time where where bad shit happens to us that isn't always our fault. Sometimes it is, and we have to sit with that emotion. And it's not easy, and I think most normal people, and not to be disparaging of people who aren't in recovery, there's probably very few of you that listen to this, but even if you do, I hope you can take some encouragement from this, because I'm not trying to offend anyone or say this, but most normal people can't sit with their emotions, and they either drink about it, smoke about it, fuck about it, eat about it, something. And addicts too. I've very hard for me to sit with my emotions, but the good thing about being a musician and doing things like this, and we are all capable of finding a way, an outlet to do it, is like I can pick up that guitar and I can get those emotions out of me. And it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, because I have huge aspirations to be a rock star, and it probably won't happen. I'm gonna pursue it anyways because I love it, and I'll never put it down. But it may never happen, and that's okay too. I want to help people, whatever that looks like. If that looks like being a counselor, if it looks like writing songs that give people encouragement, if it looks like sharing my experience, strength, and hope through this podcast, and being vulnerable with, potentially anyone. I've offended family members before from stuff I've said on here, and I'm like, why the fuck are you listening? But I'm the one putting it on the internet, and asking people to listen and subscribe. So I just want to help people, and enough people have told me that they enjoy this and that it's helped them, that I'm going to keep doing it. Sometimes I look at the video views on YouTube and it's pretty disappointing. Not to be sad about it, but I mean, it doesn't matter, if I can help one person with this episode, with this message, with what I'm saying here, with what I'm sharing and opening up and being vulnerable about how I'm feeling today, that's good enough for me. I picked up a new sponsee recently, and he told me, man, I really enjoy your podcast. I was like, wow, all right, there's one. But that's not the first person that's told me that. And other people have told me that other people I'm not aware of listen to it. So, and the metrics that I get may not be accurate. I have no idea. But I think that with anything, if we put good intention out into the universe, we get good back regardless. And I just encourage you to find that, find that outlet, find that place to put that good intention out in the universe, and you'll reap what you sow. You know what I mean? I definitely have in my life. I've had a lot of really good things happen to me. Most recently I got hired at an inpatient rehab. I really love it. It's the first time I've had a job where I feel engaged. I feel grateful and glad to go to work. And it's very simple. It's, I wouldn't want to do it forever because of the pay and everything, but I am genuinely happy to go to work. I'm usually an hour or two early, and I feel I've had some really great conversations with clients. I've been able to just talk to them and share like I'm sharing here, and just be like, yeah, man, I went through the same thing. Yeah, I staged a break-in on my girlfriend and our roommate's cars to steal their rent money. That's crazy. You did the same thing too. But we get trapped in self a lot. I get trapped in self a lot, and I feel like a lot of people do too, especially those of us in recovery. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that was the root of all of our trouble. We believe that's the root of all our troubles. And the more we can do to get out of that self, the better off we're going to be, the better our relationships are going to be, the happier we're going to be. May not have all the money in the world, you may not have all the stuff you want, but I guarantee you, if you're helping people as much as you can in every way, in every walk of life, then you're going to feel like the richest man in the world. If you're there for your children, there for your spouse, there for your significant others, if you're polyamorous, I don't know, I don't judge. Or it's a polyamorous, yeah, poly, yeah. Then you're gonna be happier. That's like the old corny line from, a family movie is like, we may not have it all, but because of your love for me, I'm the richest man in the world. you know? And I think that's true, though, as cheesy as it is and as cliche as it sounds, like, none of that shit will make us happy at the end of the day. Why do you think there's celebrities that kill themselves all the time? And it's tragic. It's tragic. And even that doesn't mean that those people that do kill themselves didn't do good in the world. I don't know if what Robin Williams did with his money or its time. I'm sure he probably did some really good things. But I think at the end of the day, he was probably trapped inside himself, and that's why he did it. That's just the first one I thought of. The celebrity that killed themselves, And I'm having to do this project over suicide prevention right now. I've been doing it all semester. And it's alarming. It's alarming, the numbers. Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's like 43,000 a year or something like that in the U.S. Let me Google it because I don't want to get this wrong. Let me Google it. Okay, well, I was pulling up suicide rates. Yeah, it's 48,344 recorded suicides in 2018. It's almost 50,000 people a year. And 50% of that is from firearms. And 65% of that is white men. And I don't really care. I mean, I care. I don't want to elaborate on like racial stuff. I think it's probably just because we make up the majority of the population in this country. Doesn't have anything to do with like identity, race identity, or anything weird like that. It just, that's just who. I think that's just the majority of people, and maybe the culture too for a lot of white families. I was fortunate that I grew up with a father who loved and accepted us, and like he was I hope he doesn't hear this, but I think he would agree that he was very critical at times, and he was very religious, and that comes with a whole box set of shame and guilt for behaviors and things that are normal, but he was very loving and affectionate, and was never the kind of person that was like, toughen up, don't cry. Like it was, he's a big old teddy bear too. He'll cry. And I'm gonna cry right now thinking about it. But I watched Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell last night, man, and it had me bawling. I don't know if you've seen that film, but you should definitely go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's based on a true story of these memoirs written by this father and the son. And the son is going through addiction, and the father is trying everything he can to get his son into treatment, get him, sober, get him into recovery. And there was just one scene in the movie where it shows him, taking his like 6 or 7 year old, maybe a little older boy to the airport to fly him from San Francisco to LA to see his mom. And he's flying by himself with, the flight assistant. And he says, I love you more than everything, right? And he says, everything? Everything. And throughout the movie, they had shown like that when every time that he'd drop him off at rehab, he said everything and everything. And he didn't really give you the context of what that meant. Kind of hinted at it, but in that scene, it just, it made me bawl. I'm going to cry right now thinking about it, but I just feel so fortunate that I had a dad that truly loved me, and I didn't have to grow up in a home where I had to question if I was loved. I was always loved, and sometimes I forgot about that. And sometimes I took him trying to help me. I took it as, I'm crying. I took it as, that he didn't love me, and that wasn't the case at all. And that's part of being human. We grow and we learn. And, especially if you're the oldest child, it's the first time that your parents are going through this, is learning to be a parent to you. And, I hope that anyone who's listening to this, I hope that this makes you, reach out to your parents and tell them how much you love them. And especially if you're in recovery and you're like me and you fucked them over as much as I fucked my family over, that you remind them of how much it means to you that they never gave up on you, and and crying. I'm just sitting in a room crying by myself on the internet. But man, it just that scene just got me, man. The love from a father to his small child, and I don't know what that feels like to be the father, but I know that it feels like to be the son, and it's special. And if you don't have a dad, I really hope that you have somebody in your life that you can look up to as a positive male role model who loves you unconditionally. And if you don't have that in your life at all, just know that I genuinely love you, even if I don't know you, even if I've said one word to you. I genuinely care about what happens to you. I don't make a habit of making enemies, and I can be a fucking asshole sometimes because I joke too much. But, we live often in this, especially in this country, especially in the age of social media. We live in this little bubble of isolation, believing that we are separate from each other, separate from the universe. And don't get me wrong, it's important to be yourself and know yourself, but we are not alone. You are not alone. I believe there is enough love in the universe for you that you are worthy. Your life is worth it. Whatever that means, if you're thinking about ending it or if you're struggling, thinking about picking up again, your life means something because you're alive. What you do with it is up to you, and who you help with that opportunity is up to you, but it means something to be alive and to be a person. I don't know what's going to happen with politics. I don't know what's going to happen with the world, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know that you are important, and I just hope that you can feel that. And 806-516-4022 is my number, and genuinely I'm putting this out there. If you ever are struggling, please call me. It's a dark fucking world, but I think the more random acts of kindness that we can do for each other, and the more we can help one another, and the more we can be there for each other, it's going to be a brighter place, Just as much as evil that goes on in the world, there's just as equal good that happens too, and it doesn't always get highlighted because it doesn't always sell, And in this country in particularly, we have a stigma around talking about this kind of stuff, and I'll probably have some people laugh at this and write it off and think it's silly and think it's pathetic that I'm a 28-year-old with a neckbeard crying on the internet, but I think we need love more than anything right now. We need to help each other. We need to be there for our neighbors and our brothers and our sisters and our mothers and our fathers. And the more we can walk in gratitude, Thanksgiving's coming up. You can walk in gratitude every day. You can be thankful for something every day. The more we can do that, the more we can get outside of ourselves. We're going to be better as individuals. We're going to be better as cities. We may not agree on everything, policy and politics and all that. And I can recognize that me being a straight white male, it's easy for me to say, yeah, I love everybody, when I haven't had to deal with oppression or racism or sexism. I've had it pretty fucking easy. I can recognize that too, but I still think and I understand somebody who's lived that experience probably feels very differently about the world than I do because they've had a very different learning experience being alive. But I think we're capable of way more, We have to break the cycle of hatred and vitriol and divisiveness and being on opposite ends. And maybe I'm, it's a damn pipe dream, but I don't know. I don't know where the world is headed. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months with this election and it being contested or whatever. But I know that, if I can inspire one person to go out and do something good and to love better and deeper and be nicer and help more people, then that person can inspire two, and those people can inspire three, whatever, and pay it forward, and we'll have a better world, you know. And maybe I'm dreaming, you know. Maybe it'll end tomorrow. Russia launches the nukes. I don't know. Maybe the NSA is listening to this right now and thinking I'm a fucking lunatic, and they're gonna barge in here and arrest me for spouting communist propaganda. I don't know. All I know is that I have the potential to make the people around me have a better experience by walking in gratitude, by showing up and loving them to the best of my ability, as deep as I can. And sometimes that just looks like telling your mom and your dad you love them because you haven't talked to them in a few days or weeks, you know. And sometimes that looks like just folding your roommate's laundry instead of getting mad and asking him to put it up. Or sometimes that looks like mowing your neighbor's yard. And I know that's really simple. And I think that we are meant to do more than just consume, buy, eat, shit, sleep, go to work. We get trapped in like our hierarchy of needs, of, you know, of all those things I just listed. We get trapped inside that and we think that's our existence. But really, connecting with somebody on a spiritual basis in a deep, meaningful way, whether that's, you know, feeding the homeless or, you know, working with others and getting them through the steps, I think that's our real purpose, you know. I've experienced it a number of ways where I've gotten out of myself for a second. I'm bigger than just me, and I've talked about this a lot. I talked about it last episode, and it's probably going to get old because I talk about it a lot and I think about it a lot, and I try to get out of myself as much as I can, and sometimes I can't. I just encourage you to pursue that, whatever it is. If it's playing music with your best buds, creating art, if it's loving someone deeply and caring for them and helping provide for them, if it's raising your children, if it's raising your children in a better situation than what you were raised in, you know, whatever that looks like, just fucking go for it, man. Don't get caught up in you and me and, you know, mine, me. It's easy to do. We do it constantly. We phase in and out of it. And, you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Well, I don't know. If you listen to this and you know, like what I'm saying, let me know something. And if you're listening to this and you need some encouragement or need some help, you know, I'll help you as best as I can. I don't have a whole lot, but I have a whole lot of love. And that's pretty much it. So let's keep getting better together, y'all. Thanks.